What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Draft Yoda, where we're data-driven and prospect-focused. I am Bill Workman. I am Draft Yoda, your favorite draft nerd's favorite draft nerd. Today, we're taking a break from doing the player profiles, and we're going to project the top 8 teams in the SEC for this next season. Um, these rankings are based on my projected win-loss records, roster talent, returning production, impact players, and overall outlook heading into the season. We're going to start at number 8. We're going to work our way to who I think the 2 teams in the SEC championship are going to be. Let's get into it. Number 8, we got Texas A&M. I got the Aggies going 8-4. Okay. Aggies are talented enough to beat almost anybody in the conference, but I still have concerns about consistency over a full SEC schedule. Biggest reason A&M lands in the top 8 is the amount of talent they've accumulated on both sides of the football. They continue to recruit at an elite level, and there's NFL talent throughout the roster. Player I'm watching the most coming into this season for Texas A&M is their quarterback, Reed. He is really going to be the lifeblood of that organization. As he goes, so goes Texas A&M. But I think they've got the talent to win some games this season and look pretty good in the SEC doing it. Number 7, I've got Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin's departure. The team still has some talent, especially like Sunken Perkins and the running back. Lacey, I want to say is his last name. Casey Lacey. But both those players are extremely talented. There is talent on Ole Miss roster. Trinidad Chambliss comes back again. My question is whether the defense is going to be able to consistently get enough stops against their best teams on their schedule. That's why they came in at 7, and number 6 was Missouri. Missouri's quietly become one of the most stable programs in the SEC. They aren't the flashiest of teams, but consistency finds a way to win football games throughout the season. And consistency is one of the big things, especially for the name I'm watching from them, Ahmad Hardy. He is their returning running back. I believe he's one of the most underrated offensive players in the country. I think he's probably the second best running back in the SEC and probably 3 or 4 running back in the country this season. Missouri's ability to run the football and control the pace of the game is going to keep them competitive against almost everybody. I don't see enough roster depth to truly challenge for an SEC title, but I absolutely see them, capable of winning 8 games this season. Number 5, I'm going to get called a homer here, but number 5, I got the Tennessee Volunteers, my Tennessee Volunteers. I had a 9-3 record. The Vols continue to recruit well, and they remain offensively a very dangerous team in the conference. What separates them is the level of talent compared to the teams behind them. The player I'll be watching the most is their freshman quarterback. I think is going to be their starter. Faison is his name. Kid is super talented, 5-star quarterback out of the Charlotte Mecklenburg area. And as a true freshman, I want to see how he does. He's got talent at wide receiver. They've got a good running back duo back there. They've got some offensive linemen in front of him, so the offense should look decent. Defensively, Tennessee continues to have speed and athleticism across the board. The question is with the transition um, to the new defensive coordinator, how that works and how everybody's able to gel together before the season. But 9 win feels like the right number for this roster. They're good enough to compete with just about anybody any given week. Uh, the schedule does get very difficult there for a minute, but I do think they are a team to watch this season. Now we're going to get into the top four. Number 4, Oklahoma Sooners. Um, they are the first of the 4 elite programs in college football's SEC. I do have them at number 4. They're loaded with talent. Maybe not as much as LSU or Georgia, but they're loaded. Quarterback John Mateer coming back. They have probably the best defensive tackle in the country in David Stone. But I think John Mateer is the difference maker for this team. I think he's one of the most impactful players on the Oklahoma team. And I think he can legitimately make a difference for that offense. David Stone is one of my top players in this year's draft. He's one of the 5 superstar tier players. So when you have a player like that, it's kind of hard to not look to him to succeed. When you combine an elite quarterback and an elite defensive tackle, you've got a recipe for a championship level football team. I think their only issue is one of the other teams they play is going to be higher than them, and that's the difference between, an undefeated season and a 1-loss season. Number 3, we got LSU, Lane Kiffin, going down to the Bayou, bringing a lot of talent down there with him. LSU has always been a hotbed of talent. Bringing in Sam Leavitt in the transfer portal, I think it's going to be the game changer here. He is one of the highest rated transfer quarterbacks I have. He's not the highest, but he's one of the highest rated transfer quarterbacks I have. The LSU Tigers are always loaded with NFL talent on both sides of the ball. And when LSU is playing at its best, they are an explosive team, and they're so explosive that it's hard for a lot of teams in the SEC to keep up with them. The differences between LSU and the 2 teams above them is consistency at coaching and consistency as a unit with a lot of transfers in. I got to see how that gels first. Number 2, the team that I think will fill in the second spot at the SEC championship, the Georgia Bulldogs. Let's face it, at this point, Georgia has become the standard for roster construction in college football. Every year they're loaded. Every year they produce NFL picks. They've got the talent to compete for a championship every year. You've got Nate Frazier at running back on offense. You got Ernest Green at tackle. You've got cornerback, whose name is completely escaping me right now. KJ Bolden at safety. That they just have a lot of talent. And Kirby Smart's a guy I'm never going to count out. If it's close, I'm going to give the advantage to Kirby just because he's shown me he can do it. He's been there before, and that's hard for teams to. It's hard for teams to beat Georgia. It really is. Coming from a Tennessee fan, I hate seeing it, but Georgia is a powerhouse, and I gotta respect. I gotta respect what they're doing and what they're able to produce. But the number 1 team in the SEC, I think they go 12-0. It's the Texas Longhorns. I don't think it's particularly close, to be honest. It's the most talented roster in the conference. It's the deepest roster in the conference. I think the collection of superstar players on this team is just phenomenal. You got Arch Manning. His last 6 games last season really showed the type of player he's growing into. Cap that with Colin Simmons, the best edge rusher in college football next season. Number 2 prospect in my rankings. Oh, and by the way, we gave Arch Manning Cam Coleman, who is just a monster at wide receiver. Another high-ranked prospect in my rankings. He already had Ryan Wingo, who's explosive, and now he doesn't pull number 1 coverage. He pulls 2 coverage, which is just going to make it that much better for him. They've got Gooseby at tackle, who is phenomenal. The offensive line is just a powerhouse unit there. I truly have Texas going 12-0. Which, if Texas goes 12-0, they walk into the SEC championship knowing that winning the SEC championship just is one tick box on the way to a national championship for them. They truly have national championship aspirations. I think they beat Ohio State in Texas. And I think you might even get that game as a rematch in the national championship itself, just because of how talented those teams are. But, that's my projection for the top 8 teams in the SEC heading into 2026. Again, number 1, Texas, number 2, Georgia, number 3, LSU, number 4, Oklahoma, number 5, Tennessee, number 6, Missouri, number 7, Ole Miss, and number 8, Texas A&M. Got some key wins throughout the season. Little teaser down there. They weren't on the list for it for the top 8, but I do have South Carolina beating Alabama 28-24 when they play each other. Little side note for everybody. Vanderbilt's going to surprise people. They were just outside the top 8. But I want to hear from you. Who's too high? Who's too low? Who's the most overrated team in the SEC going into this season? Drop your comments down below. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please hit the like button, the subscribe button, because we're going to continue to put in the work here. We typically do college football stuff, but we also do NFL draft prospects. We are in the heydays of doing prospect ratings before the season. My goal is to have all the players who have first round talent out before the season, so that you can dive in and really learn about players you may see in your conference or that may be on your team. Either way, I'm Draft Yoda, Bill Workman. I am your favorite draft nerd's favorite draft nerd, and I will see you next time.